Welcome, everyone. My name is Marina Antunes, Festival Director for Spark Animation and President of the Vancouver ACN Instagraph chapter. Welcome to this session in our Meet the Filmmakers series for Spark Animation 2022. Very excited to be here and to introduce Anna Morgan.
Hi!
Director of Diablo Immortal Launch trailer, which was actually selected winner of cinematic category at Spark Animation. So congratulations.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's so cool. I can't wait to tell the team. I thought we were official selection, but I don't know. I didn't know that we actually had won. That's fantastic.
You guys won. Congrats.
Wow, well done, team. Well done. So cool. Well, I feel red.
No. Before we talk about like the project and get into that, I wanted to learn a little bit more about you. I know that you went to school for the arts. Did you always think that you were going to be working in making movies, directing, working in games? Like, what was the game plan for you?
Oh my gosh, Marina, I think my journey is very different than a lot of people's. I graduated in music, and once I graduated, I decided, oh man, I don't want to teach and I don't want to perform. And that's kind of what you do with that, you know? So I ran away to Europe for a little while, blew all my money, came back totally lost. And I called up my oldest brother and I was like, hey bro, like, I just want to play video games all day. Cause that was like my passion. I just love to do it. And he's like, oh, there's a place down the street. Why don't you apply? And so I started in QA in video games. And one day a storyboard artist came up to me and he's like, excuse me, would you mind doing some like screams, some voices, some temp VO for me? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a cheeseball. Heck yeah, let's go. And so I started doing some temp VO, and that led to a PA job with the video and audio department of the company. And then something kind of lucky, magical, wondrous kind of happened where Unreal 3 came on the scene, and that's a game engine, and it kind of changed everything. And overnight, the video team became the cinematics team. And then we were building worlds. We were, making little, called them minematics. We were kit bashing things together to tell stories. We were doing all these crazy things. We were world building. And that's when I went, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to build worlds. I want to be a part of it. And I did that for about 10 years. And then I got laid off, as is, the video game industry is very volatile. And we all scattered to the wind. And a few of my friends got jobs at Blizzard. And Blizzard, to me, has always been the epitome of cinematics, right? Like, I've been a WoW player since vanilla, and I just love it. And we would all gather around whenever Blizzard movies would play. And I'd be like, oh, I'll never get it makes anything that cool. Like, that's just, and it's like dreams come true. So follow your dreams. Because I got a job as an editor there, which is one of the many hats I wore as a cinematic designer, or they call them narrative scripters now. And then they showed me the film pipeline, and I fell in love with the film pipeline because it's so different. You spend so much time in the beginning crafting story and making sure that is the foundation for all the other pipe steps as you go through. And, even doing like live action stuff just to like be able to communicate to your animator what you need. It's just so fun. And one day they asked me, hey, would you want to direct a Hearthstone little trailer? And Hearthstone is a musical trailers. And I was like, well, of course, yes. And I called my mom that day. I was like, Mom, I'm using my major. It's come full circle. So yeah, so that's kind of, and then that's led to other opportunities to direct other shows. So, and all the IPs of Blizzard. So it's just like a fresh day every day. So yeah, that's my story.
That's amazing. So you really did learn everything you know about making stuff on the job.
I did. I have always loved movies. I'm a movie junkie. Like, when Netflix was in the mail, I would like watch 9 movies a week, and I was always making stuff with my camcorder, aging myself. But like, I was always doing that cheesy stuff, but I did not have any real training. Everything was on the job, like, just like you said. So yeah, it's been blast.
In those early, I want to talk a little bit about the early years of Unreal, because now it's become like synonymous with like everything. Like, it's everywhere. We're talking about it for movies, animation, series, like it's just everywhere. In those early days of Unreal, like, what was that like in I'm sure compared to what we have now, it's like night and day, but even then, I'm sure there were a lot of like cool things that you could do in there that no one could have imagined.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it was it was, it was scripting, but made it so that you could like pull pieces. You didn't have to actually program. So you could understand the gist of things, and then you could just pull it in and build things. And so it just allowed you the creativity, the freedom to do what you wanted without having to actually be a programmer, in my opinion. And the thing about it was it just allowed you to be so fast, because this process is iterative, right? The more iterations you get, generally the better the show gets. So the faster you can mock something up and say, hey, what do you think about this? And talk about it, I think the better it becomes. So that really allowed you as like, there was like this beginning Kismet function called matinee, right? And that's where you pull things in, and it became like this timeline editor, and you were just in it, and you could just take animations and build things. And now I feel like with Unreal 5 coming on the scene and things like that, it's it's more vast, and there's more free things. So like if you're a student, it's free. Like there's tutorials online, like go and learn it, because you can get off the ground with high quality assets right away and be thinking about, shot angles and how you want to tell your story right from the get-go, which is, it's so powerful. So I love game engines. And I feel like, just like you said, when Unreal 3 first came on the scene, everyone was like, oh, this is really, really cool. And studios started to notice. And then it started to become more of a normal thing. And now I think it will be the norm going forward. It's just too powerful, and it's too quick for what you can do to mock things up.
Yeah, you work in both in-game and pre-rendered cinematics.
We have like 3, sorry.
Oh yeah, no, go for, yeah, no, because I was gonna ask, like, for somebody like me that, loves the stuff, but doesn't really fully grasp how this is created and how it's different from like a regular animation. I'd love to hear a little bit more about sort of like the meat and the sausage.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. We can see how the pie is baked. I get you. So Blizzard has a bunch of different kinds of variety of, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. No. But we have the pre-render, right? The high fidelity, super high quality. That's a very film pipeline. Then we also have the IGC, in-game cinematics, like you said, where we take in-game assets. And there's multiple kinds of those where we call them like RTCs, where it's real time. You're actually in the game, so you can see your character in your outfit and feel a part of it. Because that's the magic of games to me, is you are not an observer. You are in it. You are experiencing it. And so it means a little bit more to me in terms of that, because you're spending thousands of hours in a world and you're a part of it. And then there's, where we take the game assets, IGC cinematics, and we use those. Sometimes we up-res them a little bit, and we'll tell the story in game that way. And then we also have a motion story, we call it 2.5D, where we'll take illustrations, project them onto 3D objects, and then be able to orbit the camera and move through it. And that's more of our Hearthstone. I think we just had World of Warcraft release some things today. So it's all that kind of, we call it 2.5D, but it's that sort of picture storytelling, but it's alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How does it for you that works in, these various aspects, and they're all slightly different from a creative and then from a technical standpoint, how do you approach each one differently? Or maybe they're all the same, the way you approach them?
That's a great question. I think if I'm being honest, it's all time and budget, so that's what life is, right? So each one has a certain time, certain budget that you kind of associate with it. And the big ones, the film ones that are very expensive and take a while and have hundreds of people working on, that, you approach, I think, with a very like thoughtful, big team. You have much more time in ideation. You really think about the story. You won't just come up with one idea and shoot from the hip. You'll really go through and make sure that everything is as good as it. I guess we make sure that everything is as good as it can be anyway. But like, it just has more people, more collaboration, more time. And then with the other ones, it just scales accordingly. So, for like a 2.5D show, you can have like, 6 to 14 weeks. It's that quick. So you're just going. So it just kind of scales that way.
So you've been at Blizzard for a while. Do you get to pick now what projects you work on?
oh no, we're cast. I think I could go and be like, hey, I'm really interested in this. But we're cast on shows, all of the directors are. And I mean, there's producers whose job it is to try to make sure, that we're all balanced and having all this, I mean, that's actually someone's whole job is to make sure that everything can be lined up in the schedule, because we do all the IPs for Blizzard. We're such a Blizzard, like we call it SFD, story and franchise development. We're such a unique thing for a video game company because we are essentially a film studio. I don't think any other video game companies have one of those just on hand. And so we handle everything for all the IPs. So we're very busy all the time. It's never like, oh, we're bored, I wish I was doing this. It's always like, oh, we're doing this. Okay, on to the next thing. Okay, let's keep going, So it's really fun. It has a lot of energy and like life and vibration to it. That's just fun. Never gets stale.
I love it. Well, how did you come to, the Diablo Immortal project?
Oh man, so that was another one of those things where it's like, hey, we have this really big game coming out, like this huge phone game that is probably it's probably one of the most like advanced phone games I think that's ever been built. So much so that they wanted to bring it to PC, right? So it was like, okay, we got to create this launch trailer, but we don't have a ton of time. So what do we do to get people hyped up? And that was kind of the goal of the show. We had an announcement trailer earlier, which kind of dove into the story, but this one was about relating to people who you were going to get to be, right? Because that's what Diablo is. You get to be the 6 different classes. You get to be a barbarian, a necromancer, crusader, demon hunter. Let's see if I can do them all. Monk. Oh, what am I missing? Wizard, right? So, but to people who are fans of the franchise, they relate to those characters. And to new people coming in, we wanted to show you like, hey, this is what you can do. Like, this is what you're going to get to do. So it was one of those things where my supervisor was like, hey, we need to do this launch trailer. We need to do it really quick. Are you interested? I was like, Diablo, I'm in. Like, let's go.
Well, yeah, and I was going to ask about that because one of the things that I find so interesting about cinematics in particular is there's so much going on. Because not only, like you said, you're talking to the people that are, especially in a franchise, you're talking to the people that already know the game and the material. You're talking to the people that, don't know anything about it. You're talking to the layman that, might just be cruising YouTube or somebody sends them a link and like, hey, this looks cool. And now they're watching it and hopefully you're connecting with them in some level. And I mean, and when you watch this trailer, what I think is so interesting is it marries all of those things. It's visually like stunning. Like it looks so good, but there's also like a lot of emotion in the characters.
We tried to get a lot of attitude, right? To show who they are and what they're about. Yeah, I think when I first pitched it, because you get a brief, right? You get something to jump off of. They don't just be like, hey, we want this. It's like, okay, well, we want to show, some of our characters, and we want to, show like maybe some fighting, and we want to show like some culmination at the end, right? And so from there, you get with your team, you get with your writer, you get with your storyboard artists, you get with your producer, your editor, your DFX soup, art director, and you think about, okay, well, what can we do with the time we have? And my DFX supervisor, Shimon Cohen, he was like, what's important to you? And I was like, I got to have all 6 characters, man. Like, there's no way that we can leave one of these characters out. They matter to people, and we want to show them. And so that became like, okay, that's the priority. Now let's focus in. And Diablo, for me, when I sat down and I thought about it, because I've played all the games, I think about you as the player as a pool of light. So when you're in the game and you're walking around, you literally have a pool of light around you. And you are that light in the darkness, right? The demons are, I mean, all those movies that we watch as kids, where the demons are right on the edge, right? And I think that encapsulates Diablo for me. So I wanted to start in a pool of light, and that's where our monk sits in the beginning. You can feel the darkness, and then you hear that luscious voice of Skarn, who's played by Steve Bloom, his famous voice actor, his voice of Cowboy Bebop, Spike and stuff, and he's just trying to lure you in, right? But you know that the danger is there. And from there, it became about how can we tell this story with setups and payoffs, because that's a lot of when it's this short, it's a minute and a half, right? It's not that long. Setups and payoffs, because in this day and age, when you make a trailer, they need to be able to reuse it. It's just a fact of life, right? And so each scene has a setup and payoff, so you can cut it up that way. You can cut it in such a way where you could show it the ability of a character and then link it to gameplay. So you have to be a little modular, I think, thinking wise in this kind of like marketing world. That's important for something that is this style of trailer. I've totally gone off topic, but I followed this weird train. Where are we?
No, because we were talking about, creating something that means that captures the attention of all of these different groups of people that may or may not be familiar with the product that you're basically selling. Right. Yeah. And I think you bring up a really interesting point that, this has to be a multi-purpose piece of entertainment. Like it can't just be a trailer, like it needs to be used for other things. And you talk a little bit about compartmentalizing sections of it. How does that work for you and like your writer when you're trying to put together something that's both tells a little bit of a story, but keeping in mind that it might get cut up into like 5 or 6, or in this case, 7 pieces or whatever?
Yeah, we start from the get-go with that idea. So I think it's easier when you do it that way. When hey, we know that this is going to be out there in the world. We know we want players to relate to a character. So there might be a trailer of just the wizard. Let's show, something that they do that's super cool. There might be a trailer of this. And then when we started to kind of because I love a puzzle. Like, I love a puzzle. And so that's what it is. It's just really a big puzzle. And when I was talking with our writer, Andrew Robinson, it was kind of like, well, who's the narrator of this? Do we want it to be heroic? And I was like, oh man, the thing about Diablo is that darkness. And I love people, I love stories where people step into their power or show who they are. And so that was kind of the idea for that, is just, you see each of the characters, and it's a little bit of a gag where, oh, you feel like you're worried for them, but man, once you see how awesome they are, and that's going to be you're going to be that awesome. Which one do you relate to?
I love that it has a little bit of sass too, the little scoff.
Oh yeah, man.
It's amazing.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like, there's always that, oh, there's this damsel in distress running from the demons. Oh, no. It was a setup the whole time. She was waiting there. That's in Diablo. What I like to do is I'll go and I'll round up a bunch of demons and I'll bring them to my party, and then we'll just have a bloodbath, and it's super fun. And so that was kind of the idea of like, oh, demon hunter's waiting there with her turrets. That's cute, demons. Like, let's go. Yeah.
I love it. How long did it take to produce this one?
This one was super quick. Just really a handful of months. I feel like, we made the pitch from the animatic to the animatic final. I feel like was just really like 10 days. It was so fast. Yeah, it was really, really fast. And then production, getting all that set up. We worked with this amazing company, Access, who was our partners in creating the show. And that was a handful of months, like 4 or 5 months, something like that. But They did a fantastic job. It's interesting in this day and age where you can work with people overseas. We're work from home sometimes. And so it's like, you get to interact with so many different wonderful people across the world now. And we just had an awesome, awesome time with them.
That's awesome. What was the most challenging part of this project?
Oh, that's a great question. I think for me, probably the most challenging was we did do this mocap. So we did shoot mocap and then clean it up, and then some things were hand animated, obviously. But for me, the mocap shoot was so fast. You had 1 day of rehearsal where we would show the previs, right? So we did the animatic, and then you do the previs where you bring it into 3D, because that's like in the next leap in the story, or next leap, excuse me, in the pipe step structure of film. And so it's rough. And then we did a day of rehearsal and then a day of shooting, and that was it. So that's how fast it was. It was crazy. And so, and then from there, there's tons of artists that work to polish. It's not like it's just one and done, but that was very, very quick. And because we were overseas and we were in COVID at the time, I couldn't be there. And so I'm a very hands-on person. I'm like, yeah, let's be there. Let's bring the excitement, the energy, try to, because as the director, you know, you are there to help facilitate other people's creativity, you know, and being there for me is always wonderful because then you can make a connection. You can show people how excited you are by their work. You can give better feedback. So being away from that was a little difficult for me, but as you can tell, I'm like high energy. So we made it work.
That's awesome. Was there anything that you wish you could have included or that was left on the cutting room floor that you feel kind of bad didn't get out there?
We made this one so fast that I honestly, you know, the things that were really important to me were those setups and payoffs, builds, and so I'm an editor by trade, right? So I love a build and an interrupt. You know, that's what gets you that little like a moment of surprise. And so those were things. And then I wanted that barbarian to roar at the heavens because that I watched way too much Conan as a kid, and I was just like, ah! So that's, you know, let's go. So just like a scream of defiance. I just love that stuff. So those were like the main, very important things to me.
Well, it's really, it's wonderful. I say it's wonderful. Like it's this beautiful piece of art. I love it. I love being, and I don't even play Diablo. I remember Diablo, but I've never played it. But I saw it and I was like, maybe I should play this game. So mission accomplished.
Sweet. What character did you relate to when you saw it? What character did you relate to?
The scoffing
Demon Hunter.
The Demon Hunter. There you go. She was my girl. I saw her. I'm like, the scoff. That was it. I was sold. I'm like, maybe if I had more time, maybe I need to play that. My husband would love it. My husband would love it.
Super fun. Come join us.
That's right. That's right. Well, congratulations. It's a really great piece of work. It's been really nice talking to you and getting a little bit more insight into the making of the trailer. So hopefully we'll have a chance to see you at Spark, perhaps next time in person.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. Thank you so much. You're so kind and generous. This has been so fun.
Thank you so much, Anna. It's been really lovely. Congratulations again to you and the team.
Thanks.